Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I am very happy to have the 10 Cup Club back on the show to talk about some golf. Mike, Wes, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us again, Jesse.
All right, guys. So what we were kind of talking about this just in a text message, and I thought I was like, this would be a fantastic podcast to talk about things. We were talking about YouTube's effect on professional golf, and from my perspective, I feel like YouTube is right now, I feel like it's playing an incredibly crucial role in reshaping the financial landscape of golf. But I also think it's providing a tremendous amount of new opportunities for income and revenue generation. And it's also creating this new platform. YouTube's been around for a long time, but it's creating a whole nother opportunity for audience engagement. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're starting to see, the way the consumer actually consumes content. Um, no one wants to sit on a TV and watch 4 hours of pointless golf sometimes, especially with the many commercials that you encounter during a broadcast. It really turns off the people, and you got a different generation that digests media completely different than how we used to.
100%.
Yeah.
So
I think it's
go ahead,
yeah,
Mike.
I think it's kind of turned into what almost like the movie theater is just turned. I mean, people are now are just you have it on demand. Just for movies, you log on to Netflix and watch whatever you want. This is the same thing. Like, man, I really want to watch golf today. Well, let's go to YouTube, see what's going on. I mean, it's a lot of the same instant gratification that you get from Netflix or any of these other platforms, except it's just golf based.
Yeah, it's the way society's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, before we dive into this, everybody's got a glass in their hand. Cheers to this next episode we're about to do.
Yes, sir.
Mike,
Cheers, gentlemen.
What you drinking, Mike?
I've got Bower Hill single barrel from Kentucky.
All right.
Not much left of it, apparently.
It's a long
It's
day,
actually
huh?
really, really good. Single barrel. I forget what the price was, but it's so smooth. It's very good, and one of my kind of go tos every once in a while. So
Did you
good
just
stuff.
pick that up this morning?
Yeah, an hour ago.
That's how smooth it is.
Yeah.
Wes, what you drinking?
I got a little Angel's Envy, the Bourbon Barrel Select. I actually got this. We did a bourbon and burgers tasting, and Angel's Envy was there over at Ember and Iron.
All
So
right.
they gave us some sample bottles of that, and this is my first time cracking it open, and I like it. It's good.
Fantastic. Shout out to Ember and Iron. They are a fantastic restaurant in
Absolutely.
St. John's, Florida.
Hmm.
All right, I'm drinking. So my wife had bought me this tour of the world whiskey tasting, and it's pretty cool. It's there's a lot of different, like, from all over the world, all over the globe, different whiskeys. And so the one I'm drinking tonight, it's actually a Swedish whiskey. It's called Macmyra Svensk Ek. That don't make me say it more than once.
Right. I said, drink the bottle and then say that.
I think he did.
Not too bad. I'm usually a bourbon guy. I usually like to, kind of stay in Kentucky, maybe go to Tennessee a little bit with my whiskey, but I will take it. It's not that bad. I'm enjoying this glass. So
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, cheers.
Does it surprise you guys? I know we were talking a little bit off, before we started recording, but the average age of a viewer of PGA Tour golf in today's world is 64 years old. That floored me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that one, that was a little shock to the system. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was gonna get pulled down a little bit more, but I guess going back to my previous comments, generation now, how they're consuming their content, it doesn't surprise me. But when you first told me that, I was like, oh God,
Right?
that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big
Right.
problem.
I mean, also, it sort of makes sense. Most of that age group, and hopefully when I'm 64, it'll be saying, I have time. I can sit there for 4 days and watch the tournament, and nobody's bugging me about it. I don't got to go pick up the kids at school. I don't have to go here, take soccer practice, none of that. So you have the time to do it. It makes sense. It was shocking when we first said that. I'm like, man, 64 is crazy.
Right.
But it totally starts making sense as you think about it. But yeah, man, that's an issue. That's a huge issue.
No doubt.
I think moving forward for the PGA. So
I thought it was interesting because Live Golf not to always draw a contrast between the two of them, but Live Golf right now, they're attracting viewers that are 18 to 34. 71% of the people that have showed interest in Live Golf are in that age bracket. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is because of how they originally delivered their content. They did it through an app rather than going on television. And the PGA Tour and other people gave them a lot of shit for it. Like they were like, oh, they don't have a TV contract. But they were putting their stuff on YouTube. They were using an application, and it seems like it's paying off for them in the long run. I don't know that for sure, but it seems like it is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how you could, you know, see how it's actually benefiting them. I don't know what metric you would use with this day and age. I'm not that familiar with it. Um, but it does make sense. It led them to that. Well, they get a deal with Fox now, I believe.
Fox, yeah,
So
Fox and Fox Sports.
yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that contract works out and if it still stays viable through their app and things like that. So I probably in looking back, it was the smart move and eventually got them a contract with a big network. I just wonder if there's going to be that heavy commercial load that will end up bringing them down, just like it does to the PGA Tour with their media deal.
Right.
Yeah, and I think also kind of today's news with Monahan, Tiger, and Adam Scott meeting with Trump. I think that's going to change some things in the landscape going forward. Um,
Big
with
time.
Live and with PGA, all that stuff. I'm not sure exactly. I know Trump historically has been kind of a fan of it, of Live for some reason. But he
He's made
also
money
wants
off
to,
of it.
yeah,
He made
he
a lot
also
of.
wants to get together. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Obviously, it helps that his courses are being used.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
100%.
If he's involved in the negotiations, I guarantee there's going to be a major one of the Trump
Well,
courses in the near
that was the
future. So,
big thing. The majors took um the courses away from them for majors
Turnberry.
and Turnberry, Doral. They're like, no, we're not
Yeah.
doing any more PGA Tour events there. So it is interesting to see how getting President Trump now involved, which I'm not in the least bit surprised of. I knew that was gonna. I just felt that was gonna happen sooner or later.
Right.
Um, didn't know it was being this quick. I mean, he's getting some shit done, but yeah, I mean, it's
He doesn't mess around right now.
no, I'm not surprised, and hopefully we bring the game back together where we're seeing all the best players in the world actually competing with
Yeah.
each other week in, week out, not just majors. I get it. Majors are always awesome, but now that we get to see it week to week, and let's see how good Scotty Scheffler is. Let's see how good Rory is when you get Bryson and John Rahm and all these guys actually competing on a regular basis against each other. I think I think we're going to see some better golf.
Yeah, and USGA going, obviously this is off topic from the social media stuff, but USGA just announced kind of a similar thing where they're going to start awarding, I guess, points in a way to top 10.
They have a way for live golfers to get in now. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I think that's just going to be a snowball effect, obviously, moving forward. And again, like you mentioned, you said it perfectly. Everybody just wants to see the best of the best together. And that could go back to also why their ratings are down in the PGA. I mean, you've lost a lot of fans, and a lot of these guys have gone to live or gone watching TGO, watching the YouTube guys, and have just, veered another way where, I'm looking at a leaderboard right now. You got Taylor Moore, Andrew Putnam, Nikolai Hoygaard. I mean, it's like, obviously Justin Thomas is up there, Wyndham Clark, but it's like half these guys are like, what? I mean, they're great
Yeah.
golfers, but it's like, I want to see the Rahm and, like you said, the DeChambeau, the DJs, all these guys, together, man. It's just, I think it's going to get there eventually. It may take a little bit, but I think it's all going to come together.
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of what YouTube has shown to offer, and I think that's where I think some of the professional golfers are figuring that out. Whereas a lot of these YouTube golf celebrity types, or whatever you want to title them, YouTube golfers, whatever it is, they figured it out 5 years ago. Some of them 10+ years ago. But what the Phil Mickelsons of the world, the Bryson DeChambeaus, and many others, they're starting to figure out. I can put my face out there. People can see who I am, and I can control the message. I don't have to, I don't have to rely on commentators. I don't have to rely on sponsors. I don't have to rely on the PGA Tour nor Live Golf to have people know who I am. And I think that, like I was telling you this, Mike, just in a different conversation, I saw So Brooks Koepka is playing in a match with Rick Shiels, and in 3 holes of golf, in less than 30 minutes, I think I heard more information and more of real talk from Brooks Koepka than I've heard in the last 5, 10 years from that guy, as far as understanding who he is, what makes him tick, what makes him happy. I thought it was really cool
Yeah.
because it was like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's who he is.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to it, like you were saying, like that's the most you've getting out of Brooks since honestly when he did the first season of Full Swing.
There
Like,
you go.
but he was struggling then, so it was kind of like that was like a downward spiral Brooks in a way. And I think he got a lot of negative heat from it a little bit. He's like, oh, he was so good, and he said he never practiced, which we all know that's bullshit. Like he was practicing. Let's whatever. I know it was the alpha male thing, but you were practicing, bro. Anyway, but you get to see him with Rick Shields is like, all right, he's definitely in a happier place. He's a dude. Like most of these guys are just dudes. And
Right.
I think the more you see them, like I think that's why, like a Max Homa, I love Max because he's just a dude. Like dude's a normal guy and just has a family, talks a little shit, and he's just good. And when he was on like Bob Does Sports and the foreplay stuff, and he plays amazing golf and against 3 or 4 other guys, and he can wax them, it's like, oh God, this dude is legit. And I think hopefully we start seeing more of that, and to get these players out there and their brand, they're more brand guys now.
Right.
Yeah, and I think for me too, I mean, the DeChambeau, obviously Brooks and Bryson is always a thing kind of together, but Bryson also had kind of a resurgence, and I've always liked him. I actually have a signed ball by him because he hit my wife's leg on in the par five 16th at Sawgrass. So I kind of been a fan since then, but um, you never really knew him. You always knew he was quirky. He was kind of a little different than everybody else. He was this, obviously he got to where he was just strength training so hard and you never really knew him. And as soon as he started getting into like social media and all these things, it was like, man, this guy's got an awesome personality. And yeah, he still is a little quirky, but it kind of works. And I think
Yeah.
he's grown his brand so much just by getting online and posting his, what was it, breaking 60? Is that what he was?
Breaking 50. Breaking 50.
Breaking
Sorry,
50.
breaking 50.
Yeah,
And he did. I mean, he had, we said earlier, President Trump was on there. He had, I mean, everybody who's who is that Tony Romo wearing basketball shorts out there playing with him. I mean, it was the coolest thing to watch. And it was small snapshots, quick YouTube video. I mean, not quick, not a 5-minute one, but where you can watch an entire match and they're doing highlights, they're talking, their personalities are there. And I mean, back in 2020, I think what started kind of a little bit of that, even though it was on TV, was when they did the match during COVID at Seminole. And that's when you kind of started seeing this could be big. I mean, you've got these guys talking, they have earpieces in, you're chatting the whole time, they're talking crap to each other, they're betting on the holes. The match kind of started a lot of that too, even though that was TV and not online. But I think it's just kind of grown from there, and it's gotten just enormous. And I mean, I love it. Any bit of golf I can watch, I'm watching. So
I know you kind of said it before, Mike, that you really have, kind of you'll watch whatever it is, and like you just said it then too. But it's like Wes, do you have anything like has your viewership style followed any kind of one format, or are you kind of an omnivore when it comes to golf?
No, I would say most of my consumption of golf is now YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, like, I mean, hell, I'm not afraid of it. Like, my routine in the morning is I get up, get a cup of coffee, go up to my man cave, and throw on YouTube and see if, Foreplay launched something or, Grant or Bob Does Sports, good, whatever. And that's how I kind of start my morning sometimes. It's usually a quick hit, 45 minute, and you're ready to go. And you kind
Right.
of you got your fix of golf, because we're all kind of golf sickos. And that's just, it's my way. It's the other way of, back in the day, you'd get your coffee and read a newspaper. Now it's like, all right, jump on 45 minutes and then I'm off and starting my day. So it's definitely changed. I like kind of how Live, they were doing it and bringing in the preview of the rounds. That's a 20-minute hit. It's like a quick boom. This is what happened. Go. We're starting to see the PGA Tour do that a little bit now. But I
Yeah,
think
no, I
that
think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and they had to, otherwise they were dead in the water. But I really enjoy just watching. I'm bored, I'll scroll, go through TikTok too, and Grant's on there or whatever, and they're just doing little, quick 9 holes. It's a 5-minute video, and they show every single shot. Like it's really cool how things are changing and it's more digestible.
No doubt. I feel like like for myself personally, I've kind of gravitated towards the YouTube stuff, and it really like what really kind of pushed me there in the first place was the snapshots of the, like you said, those 15 to 25 minute, here's every shot that happened in the round at the live event for the day. They put them out in the evening after the round, and I thought it's fantastic because I felt like I didn't miss anything. The other thing was actually from the PGA Tour, and it may not even have been the PGA Tour, but for the majors, they would say every shot. Like, so when we went to Kiowa Island, with like the first, like when we did the Tin Cup trip to Kiowa Island, one of the things that I watched before we went is that every shot that Phil Mickelson hit in his final round at Kiowa. And it was like those things. I thought they were awesome because I was like, that's so cool. I got to watch Phil Mickelson's whole round of golf, like
Yeah.
in less than 30 minutes. And it was like, I felt like I consumed the golf that I wanted to watch without having to, sit through the stuff that I don't necessarily care if I watch or don't watch when it comes to players that I may not have any kind of a vested interest in watching.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah,
that's a great example of being able to watch something quick, and we got lucky enough to experience that course and how difficult it was. But for, a guy like Phil to do that, and you can actually go out and play it, and because you spent 30 minutes on YouTube to see what he was doing.
What were you going to say,
yeah,
Mike?
yeah. Obviously, not that we're going to have the same outcome of this, but
Not yet.
um, no, I mean, I was just going back to, like you mentioned, good earlier. Ironically, after you set this up, I watched the thing they were doing in Arizona, and to me, I just started looking up their story, and they started in 2020 with nothing, just guys out there playing golf. And
Right.
now they were on the golf channel with their own tournament, and it was an absolute clusterfuck at times. It was like, what is happening here?
Opening hole was complete shit show.
It was even the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing. I'm just having anxiety watching them. Like, who's hitting? Who's on whose team? It was
Yep.
crazy. But to have those guys now be at the level they're at out there, just and the whole crowd. Now it wasn't a huge crowd, but everybody following them, like you mentioned. I mean, they had to all be under 30. I mean, I'm sure there was no old guys
Hmm.
there, but it was just it's a whole different atmosphere under the lights, people shouting in the backswings and doing whatever. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just such a different way to consume the sport. And it was like, and to me, the most shocking part is when I heard about this thing, I'm like, all right, what YouTube link or live do I need to, and I go on TV and I'm like, it's on the Golf Channel. Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah.
it was, just those guys that started with, I mean, I'm pretty sure their start was that hole in one on the par four, where one hit the flag and the other one made it.
Yeah.
It was like they kind of blew it from there.
Yeah.
But it was just it's cool that it's turned into that, and that
Right.
we can golf's at that point now.
I don't know
Mhm.
why. Every time I hear good, I always think of Dude Perfect. Like
Yeah.
how it's like for whatever reason I just kind of liken the two. They have nothing to do with each other, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason I think of both.
But yeah, I mean they kind of came up. I mean, I think Dude Perfect was out a little before them, but it's the
Mhm.
same kind of thing. Just a group of guys, group of buddies that
Right.
went out and started doing stuff, and something caught on, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where we're at.
Didn't Grant Horvath come out of that group?
Yeah,
Wasn't he part of it?
The good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's a stick. He can play.
He's a stick, and he might be the dude right now. I mean, you got to figure he started this 2x2 or 2v2 series with Phil Mickelson.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like, how freaking cool is that? And you all know my, fandom for Phil Mickelson.
Huge fan.
Huge, big, huge fan. But
He just doesn't like lefties.
but it was cool to see, it's actually entertaining. Like I said, Grant's a stick, Phil's a, Hall of Famer, and watching those two guys interact. I mean, Grant's what in his 20s and Phil's, in his low 50s. but golf is the common ground for them, and they can talk
Right.
golf. And you got the elite of the elite with the, I'll say, kind of an elite amateur, right? With Grant and the way they kind of talk about golf. And you can even see some things that Phil says to Grant that blows Grant's mind. He's like, I would never think of that. So it's cool to see it all coming together and how good the pros really are.
I thought it was really interesting. One of the questions that kind of stuck with me in some of the videos that I've watched with Grant Horvath is when they've asked him, "Have you ever tried to be a playing professional?" And he's like, "I don't want to be." And it's almost eye-opening to me because it's like, to me, growing up playing sports and being an athlete, like you have this mentality of like, hey, the next step, but the next step is always like, or that ultimate step is professional sports. And it's like for these guys now, there's like this offshoot. There's another alternative to where you can still make good money, incredible money, let me
Yeah.
say, playing the sport that you love, but you don't necessarily have to be the best at it. You don't necessarily have to, compete at the highest level. They're finding a way to professionalize the game without being the best of the best.
Well,
Yeah. 100%.
look at my son's a kicker, and he grew up. His last 4 or 5 years been a kicker, and in college kicking now. And you look at a guy like on YouTube, a dude called Destroying,
Okay.
and he's a pure athlete. I mean, he can do anything,
Mhm.
but he can kick. What he'll do is he'll kick 60 yards one way, turn around and kick go back the other way into the wind, and just crushing the ball. He'll
Mhm.
take on top prospects in the country and be like, hey, we'll just do a field goal competition, and he's just booming them. And everybody's like, hey, why doesn't he go pro? Why doesn't he go? Nobody picks him up. Nobody picks him up. I mean, to me, it's like, why would you? You've got
Right.
all the followers, you got the money, you can create your own schedule, you can do what you want, and you're still having fun doing it. I mean, the Grant's kind of the same thing. Why drag, playing against the best and the best to try to make a cut or do this and do that and all that pressure when right now he has none of that. He's just having fun playing golf and making a hell of a lot of money doing it. It's just, again, where YouTube just kind of changed everything. I mean, not only in golf, but in multiple sports. It's crazy.
Mhm.
I feel like it's almost like another form of sports entertainment. And when I'm, and if you're a wrestling fan out there, if you're listening to this, I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with it is like, you could have a guy like a Hulk Hogan or a Stone Cold Steve Austin or anybody who's been at the top of wrestling that they're not a fighter. They're not necessarily someone who, like, if they got into a real fight, they'd be exposed. They would actually be,
Mhm.
they would look terrible if they actually went out there and competed at fighting. But it's a performance art almost, but it's entertaining. It's something that
Yeah.
like you get as many eyeballs, if not more eyeballs, watching, a performance art of fighting versus somebody who is actually fighting, and they don't have to take the pounding and the beating that somebody would at an actual fight, and they
Yeah.
can do it 5 nights a week or whatever it is. So it's like I feel like YouTube golf is a little bit like that in a sense to where these guys have a great personality. They are adequate. I mean, they can hit the shots. They're good, but they're I doubt that we're ever going to really see them go out there and compete, even if they had the opportunity. I mean, I think Reek Shields did that one time, and I think he shot like 85 and 80 something in the rounds that he shot. He'll probably never do it again because it makes him look bad to actually expose himself.
I mean, Wesley Bryant
Yeah.
is probably the only one, right, Wes? I mean, that's
He's
the
Yeah.
guy that does
He's
both.
yeah, he's a legit one that's, I guess a YouTube influencer now, but he's the real PGA Tour player. And he's not a top PGA Tour player, but he's still going against all these YouTube guys. He pretty much dominates every time he goes up against them. Like he might have a bad round, someone has their phenomenal round and he might get clipped, but for the most part, like he still just lights everyone up. And I think that just shows you how freaking good these guys are that are at the professional level. And your Grants and your other guys see this and they're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm a +4 or +5, but I'm not a +8 or +9. And that's
right.
a
Yeah.
massive, massive gap.
And under the gun, like actually doing it in a
True.
competitive, like on a Sunday, like with 15-20 million dollars at stake. I don't think that they're going to be the same +4 or +5 that they are at a
No,
Sunday around with their buddies.
no, because they're making their money, the influencers, on the views. Like
Right.
if you make the cut, you're not getting viewership dollars because you made the cut on the PJ Tour. So for them, it's like, hey, how entertaining can I make my video with the right people, that's how I make my money. It's a little bit easier because if you play like shit, it doesn't matter because people are going to watch it anyway because people like to see people fail sometimes. And they also like to see like a guy like Grant go head to head with John Rahm getting 5 shots and it's competitive and John Rahm still will clip him. It's like,
Right.
what?
Fair. Speaking of that, who is the highest paid YouTube golfer out there? This is where
I
the
mean,
Jeopardy music comes
currently or historically? What's
in.
that?
So Paige Spiranek is actually the highest paid person on YouTube that is a golfer. She makes over $5 million a year right
Oh
now
my God.
with her YouTube content.
Yeah.
And it's probably throw in her social media content.
I think she brings in a different audience too, though. I mean,
Slightly different, a little different.
I think she goes into different sports and different genres and different things, rather than just golf. But I mean, she can swing too, though. I mean,
She's a player.
she's pretty damn good. I mean, and actually that's another point too is that all the female golfers that have come out and they're actually are still in YouTube that are just outstanding.
Yeah.
What's the one in here in Florida? Gabby Golf, I think it is.
Oh, Gabby Golf Girl, yeah.
She she's really good.
Yep.
And again, like you think about it, I think she's actually one of the ones that's just trying to make a decision. I saw something the other day where she's trying to make a decision on what to go next, whether she wants to try to pursue, going off into the tour or college or staying the way she is in YouTube. But I mean, it's crazy to even think about. You said that earlier, Jesse. That's your option. You're like, I'll just stay here and I'll go play, make some videos, and I'll be fine. Like that's
Right.
just it's baffling to
Yep.
me that that's where we're at, but it's awesome too because they're entertaining all of us.
Yeah. I
No
think
doubt.
to go with Gabby Golf Girl, like, if she's deciding to do college or stay YouTube, you can't tell me there's not some universities out there that would love to have her just for the recognition of like, oh, Gabby Golf Girl plays at the University of XYZ. That's easy recruiting.
Yeah,
Like,
University of Miami Golf is going to get a lot more views now that Kai
yeah.
Trump is going there. Like
Oh, a million
crazy.
percent. Million percent.
And it
Mil-
probably the nil money will follow.
yeah.
Like as far as
Not that
like I
she
mean,
needs it, but yes.
not just her, but I mean, what I'm saying is that
In general.
it's exposure for the program, it's exposure for
Sure.
the other players. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I find it interesting because it's like you start when you start going down those rabbit holes. It's like when we talk about a Paige Spiranek who has, like you said, she's pulled in other audiences. She's used other assets, if you will, to to bring in an audience. But it's my question with it is like I don't think that she would be nearly as popular as she is if she couldn't play golf. The reality of it is
No.
that she may pull in an audience for a different reason sometimes, but she'd probably wax all of us like on the golf course.
Oh,
Maybe
easy.
not Wes, but
No.
the other two of us.
I'd be too distracted. I couldn't play with the shit. Um, no, but in all seriousness, like she kind of got her fame because I think it was she played at San Diego State or University somewhere. Um, and she kind of popped up on Instagram, and you saw an attractive blonde swinging in the club and being able to compete at the college level, like compete.
Right.
You can't tell me there's not a bunch of 16 to 20-year-old kids that are just like, oh my God, like I'm watching that all day long.
100%.
And she cashed in on it. She owns it. I think that's what I like about it. She owns it. She knows exactly where the bulk of those views are coming from and her audience. And good for her.
100%. I mean, there's plenty of attractive people, whether it's women, men, or there's a bunch of attractive people in this world. Like
Mhm.
there's more to that, there's more to that story, there's more to that book. I mean, it's not just a pretty cover. So I think it's fantastic what she's done. Along those lines, you got Rick Shiels, who is kind of, one of the OGs of YouTube golf. And the guy he just signed a contract with Live to start producing content with them for them through his YouTube channel and through their media as well. But Rick Shiels really has, I mean, he's got more views on a regular basis than anybody on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was like the no-brainer signing for Live is to get these guys. And I think, Grant's got to be announcing something soon, probably being joined with Live. I mean, I can't imagine they don't try and get him involved too, but with him and Phil kind of at the hip right now.
Sure.
It might be just, hey, we'll just keep them happy, Phil and Grant, and we don't have to pay Grant. So who knows how that works out? I'm not sure, but I think it's cool to see, like, what are the three big ones? I think it's the Crushers right now are very active on YouTube. High Flyers, Phil's going to get that going. And I've seen a little bit of the Majestics here and there. I think they did something with Bob Does Sports or something like that.
So
So I
think
think,
about that. Like we've got, you brought up the Crushers.
mhm.
Like Bryson DeChambeau and the Crushers are going to be rocking Reebok gear. Like for the first
Yeah,
time, Reebok's back in golf in how many years? But it's like I think
Greg Norman.
we're gonna find out. Can they resurrect a brand? Will people buy Reebok golf gear because Bryson DeChambeau and his team are buying it? Yes.
If Malbon can sell after what Jason Day was pulling off in some of these tournaments, then Reebok will be able to sell. I mean,
Well, I mean, they are bringing in
crazy.
the Allen Iversons as their golf shoe. I saw that floating around.
For
I mean,
Reebok?
yeah, the AIs
Oh,
with the
man.
patent leather on it, they're bringing them. The red,
Team
the white
Europe?
and red, I believe. Huh?
Is that a Team Europe fit there, Captain?
Well, we'll have
Ah,
public
yeah. Maybe next year.
It might be too late. Might be too late.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that, whether it's the Live Stars, I mean, because I do think that they have really taken advantage of a lot of the social media and what YouTube has had to offer. We've talked about Bryson DeChambeau and some of these guys, but it's like you look at it, Grant Horvath owns Primo Sportswear or Golfwear, whatever the title of it is. They are now fitting the High Flyers. Phil Mickelson's Live team, they are going to be, from head to toe, or excuse me, from head to ankle. Like I think Nike's got the shoe, but they're going to be dressing them this year.
Mhm.
Well, apparently they're dressing Team Europe too, that's from what I've seen in text messages. But yeah, I
Good
mean, I
stuff.
think about that though. Hey, is Reebok coming back into the game if it weren't for DeChambeau's presence in social media? I mean, and YouTube.
Probably not.
If he was just
say
Live,
no.
right, and he wasn't what he is outside of Live, I don't think they do.
No.
I mean, if he's just a player, he's not getting all these different deals, and it's a whole different outcome, I think. And that's just baffling. That I mean, just something like that Reebok's like, I'm jumping back in it. Let's get this done, and I guarantee you they're going to grow their business a lot with this
100%.
deal. So.
Yeah, and
Everybody.
it may only be like, hey, let's try and see what happens in the next 5 years and then make a decision. Because I mean, they're going to come in and they're going to make, I think, some money real quick, especially with the Allen Iverson releasing that as a golf shoe. It's gonna happen. Sneakerheads are just gonna buy it just because. But I think it might be just a
I'm looking it
5 year
up
plan.
now. Those are pretty sweet. Those are pretty cool looking.
Oh,
Team Europe shoes, got it.
Those
They're
are
gonna be
sweet.
comfortable. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty sweet. And I remember them growing up. Like I'm pretty sure I had a pair when I was playing basketball. I had a pair of AIs. Just what you do.
About practice.
Man, we're talking practice.
Well, and then, okay, let's take this a step further, though, because even like earlier this fall, when we talked to Jason Highland from Sub 70 Golf, Jason referenced it. He said it's a tremendous opportunity because all of these players are now making some guaranteed money. They're not necessarily concerned about an equipment contract. So it's giving people like Jason Highland and Sub 70 Golf, Avada, and some of these boutique manufacturers the opportunity to work with some of the best players in the world and get their equipment out there in their hands and not have to compete with TaylorMade and with Callaway and with, Titleist and everybody else to pay them to represent their brands. They can just say, here's a good piece of equipment. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is.
And what ironically, Wes, what did I text you right before this that I was looking at?
Oh, the Tacoma irons. No shocker there.
But
Good.
I mean, I haven't pulled the trigger on them yet. But think about that.
It may
Never
as
in a
well
million
just
years.
go ahead and do it.
How looks that?
Just may as well go ahead and do it. You're gonna do it.
I'll do a week of testing on them once I get them. But no, I mean, it's like
You're just renting them. You can always put them back on.
exactly like I do with all my putters.
There you go.
But like that's the influence of social media. I mean, like, and actually we talked about Grant earlier. Grant's now a part owner of Tacoma Golfer. So it's like it's crazy that
he will earn a commission on your purchase.
no, yeah, I guarantee it. I mean, not there can't be that much of a commission in there. But I mean, but then you look at, I mean, Rick Shiels that's what I love about Rick Shiels is not only is he a great stick, he reviews almost any product out there.
Sure.
He's doing lessons all the time. So he kind of does the whole gamut. Usually there's guys that just do product stuff. There's guys that just do lessons. There's guys that do just different games with different clubs and stuff while they're playing. But Rick Shiels kind of does it all. He reviewed Tacoma and it was outstanding review there. And it was like, but that's social media and the presence they have. It's like a company like that is competing with a TaylorMade or Callaway and all this stuff that is out there because of social media, because of YouTube, because of guys like Grant. And it's kind of crazy that that's where we're at, but it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. It's really cool in a lot of ways because I think that it's giving, like I said, those boutique manufacturers and those people that are like, okay, I'm going to make something really good, but I don't have the corporate money behind me to compete. It's giving them a platform. It's giving them an opportunity. It's giving them at bats with people that, 10 years ago, they would have never even gotten a shot at those golfers because those golfers were pretty reliant on those equipment contracts for a big portion of their dollars. Yeah. I think that there's, it's like, let's play devil's advocate here for a second as well, because, Wes and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with you as well, Mike. There's been some boutique manufacturers that I've tried some of their stuff, and sometimes the results aren't so great. And you start to realize, how much money some of these larger companies put into R&D, how much, care they take in developing the products that they do make. And sometimes some of those people, it is a little bit of a, there is a step down in quality. Not all boutique manufacturers are the same. Not all of these small manufacturers put the same care into their products. I think that there's some due diligence on the side of the consumer. Just because you see something on TV or just because somebody's advertising something, there could be a big step down in quality is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's you're almost kind of holding your feet to the fire a little bit. And with all companies, with all these YouTube channels, a lot of them aren't paid to buy a specific company. So they're going to give you like real feedback. If it sucks, they're going to tell you it sucks.
Right.
And I think, I personally haven't seen anything, but I don't think I've ever seen anything bad written about Tacoma or Sub 70 saying it's a bad quality product or anything like that. So that's a huge thing. I think that's 100%. I think that's where these, you're kind of rolling the dice. If you don't make a great product and you're selling it cheap, you're going to get exposed like
quickly.
That's
yep.
Like
especially
with golfers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Grant's not going to go out there and talk crap about Tacoma, but there's plenty of guys that have no invested interest in any of these companies that will give these reviews and speak honestly. And like you said, there's some of these guys have just don't ever hear a bad thing about them. And
well, it's another part of YouTube golf. I mean, we talk about the professional aspect of these people that are celebrities or personalities. There's other parts of this too, because to your point, there's product reviews. There are people that just turn their camera on and talk about what they just bought, and you can get honest reviews from real customers of, that like on any brand that you want to. Type it into YouTube and you can find content and you can get some information about it.
Yeah. But I'm in the middle of a golf ball dilemma right now. Dude, I gotta be the most entertaining person in the world. I mean, just equipment.
I tell you what, every time I get a text from Mike, I'm like, what now? Like, holy shit.
That's what I look for, man. I want you on your toes daily about what is he working on now?
That's the kindest way to say it, yes.
The first thing I do is I go on YouTube or Google or whatever and say, like a I'm working Chrome Tour versus Bridgestone Tour BX. And I guarantee there's a review and I guarantee there's a YouTube video showing all the numbers on
Yep.
what a guy has done. Now, it may not be the same swing speed, it may not be the same things, but you get an idea. So you can narrow a lot of stuff down by just what other people have done. And it's all right there in a 5-minute little video that you can get a lot of information. Okay, yeah, that's not going to work for me, or that will work for me, which is how you
Yep.
end up with 20 dozen balls. But we're
Right.
getting
But
there, man. It
I
was
think it's kind
frustrating
of
today, but we're
cool.
getting there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Like Ping has that app. Was it Ballmatic? Is that right, Mike?
Ball
Ballmatic?
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ballmatic. Yeah. That's actually a good tool because they're obviously brand agnostic as far as balls
Yeah.
go. And it's kind of cool. You can plug in your launch monitor data and it will spit out options.
Yeah.
And then
Interesting.
at least it helps, the consumer, all right, what balls for me? It might be Mrs. Havenkamp that has a swing speed of 20 miles an hour. Like, what's the best ball for
Yeah.
me? Or the, higher swing speed amateur, what's going to be better? And it will give you the pros and cons. It's unbiased, which is something you don't see very often. So anytime I got someone asking questions about balls, I'm like, one, get a sleeve of each. I know Mike does dozens, but get a sleeve of each and try them first and see what you like. And you gotta be careful. You gotta be really specific on what you want in the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want in my balls. But in all seriousness, I feel like sometimes like that whole like you can go down rabbit holes too. Like you
Yep.
can go down, you can look at stuff, and like to your point, Mike, there's so much information about anything you look up. If you're looking up balls, if you're looking up clubs, any of that stuff. Sometimes I liken it to the Food Network, and I think about like I can listen to somebody like a Guy Fieri or like on any of the shows that are on the Food Network. They'll talk to me. They'll describe what something tastes like. I'll give you a great example. Diners, drive-ins, and dives went to the
Oh, I
Metro.
love it.
Shout out to the Metro Diner in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yep, sir.
But they went to the Metro Diner in Jacksonville, Florida, and they ate their stuffed French toast and they ate their meatloaf, both of which I've had. So it was interesting to actually hear somebody describe something that I had actually tasted before. And
Mhm.
so it was a very different experience to me because I'm like, I agreed with some of it and didn't agree with others, or didn't feel the same way about, certain products that he was describing. So it was like, it was interesting because I likened the golf experience, like when you're listening to somebody describe hitting a golf ball and the
Mhm.
feel of the golf ball, or the feel off the putter face, or whatever it is. Like
Yep.
I think it does help for me, but it also like I am personalizing somebody else's experience. So there's value there for me, and there's also it kind of sometimes helps me fool myself into thinking this is what I need.
No comment.
Mike is the poster child for that entire statement.
Oh, yeah. Uh, what's crazy today? I'll tell you a quick story. So basically, what I'm looking for is I've been hitting CP5X great off the tee, but I'm looking for something with more spin around the green and all that stuff. So I go out there. I have 5 different balls today, 4 different balls, sorry, and I go out to my simulator and I start hitting just full 58-degree wedges. I hit about 7, 8 each and get all the averages. And every ball is within 200 RPMs of the other. And I'm like, I'm leaving this session of hitting 50 balls more confused than when I started. And it's all completely different. I mean, you got TP5X in there, you got Chrome Tour in there, you got Pro V1 in there. I mean, it's like I've got it all. I've got the new triple diamond in there, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to do anymore. Honestly, it's crazy, and but that's what the world we've chosen, man. I'm always tinkering. I've always been that way. And Jesse, I think you're part that way too. But I'm always just looking for something new and different to try out, and all of it's going to make me a scratch golfer eventually, at some point. So
Eventually.
we'll see.
100%. Hey, if I live long enough, I'll shoot my age.
Yeah,
You, you
exactly.
know, but I think that's part of the fun, as an amateur and as somebody who's like, like my wife and I talk about it a lot because it's like part of the fun is trying stuff and, just kind of experiencing it. And like, as long as you can admit that to yourself and say, hey, this is part of the fun of playing golf, then great. The person who thinks that they are going to find a game by buying something, good luck.
That's the industry though.
Except for lessons from
Yeah,
Wes
that's true.
Altus. I mean, if you buy
There you go.
lessons from Wes Altus, you will improve.
Now we're talking.
Ironically, that's the only thing I haven't done enough of, and that's probably would change a lot. You know how many lessons I could buy with the money I spent on golf balls?
Yeah, I could afford more golf trips if you did that.
Well, I have bought these at a pretty good price, though, all of these balls, so that I'm going to make a little profit when I resell the one I don't use. But
That's
we'll
funny.
see.
All right, boys. Before we wrap up, I want to get each of you like your favorite thing that you like to watch on YouTube. Wes, what is it?
Oh God, I do like to go down the rabbit hole of just listening to what other instructors like to preach, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of challenges my thought process. Maybe I hear something different another coach says. I'm like, oh crap, I should have used that on that student because that made more sense even to me. So I think just listen to other instructors, kind of preach their thing. I always love listening to like a Joseph Mayo because he can just go off on a tangent, and I like how he has all the math to back it up. Um, always love listening to going back into my trainings with like Andy Plummer and watching old videos that I've recorded with him just to kind of get more nuggets, that kind of stuff. And then another good one is Scott Calks. If you can see some of his stuff online, if you're instructors, he's got some good stuff too. So I'm more on the instruction side of things with a little bit of, I'm more probably like 80 instruction, 20% entertainment.
Very cool. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm mostly probably on the entertainment side. I mean, I do love all the matches. So when like foreplay first came out with, um, the scramble versus a professional or whatever, I used to watch a lot of those. Some of the guys on foreplay have gotten a little annoying for me for some reason. I don't know why. Mostly the putting strokes. But
We'll make sure we
it's
tag him on it for this part.
that's fine, dude. You can tag him all you want. He's heard it all. I guarantee you that Riggs has heard everything about his putting stroke.
There's not one damn
Um,
thing he hasn't heard bad. So he's got thick skin. Rick's got thick
but
skin.
here's the funny part. Is that
I like the foreplay guys, just to let you know.
I do like him. I just and actually, ironically, I do every time I see the Daily Nine pop up, I watch it. But
Hmm.
as much as and as almost, it's just for me, it's very entertaining to watch. But another thing I like to watch is golf courses I haven't played. So I'll go through a lot of like the architecture stuff. Like you'll have, by Bandon Dunes had some good YouTube videos with David McClay Kidd on the building of Bandon Dunes and the process of the architecture of it. That stuff is just fascinating to me.
Right.
So I'll get into a rabbit hole of different golf courses around the world, how
Yeah.
they're made and how they use the landscape to do it and why they do this and why they do that. And it's amazing to me. It's really cool to watch. So I kind of do both of it, but I'll watch anything related to golf. Honestly, I just um, it's all that's all my feed is anyway. So I don't really have a choice. Now it's going to be all nothing but golf ball reviews. But
I tell you, my favorite thing that I've really been into lately, because they have shared so much content with matches and with people playing, like whether it's Phil Mickelson playing matches with Grant Horvath or playing some of the live matches that he's done, or Bryson DeChambeau, or any of the people that some of these guys like Rick Shiels and those guys have on professionals that they have on playing against them. Like even DeChambeau had like Sergio Garcia and different
Hmm.
people play against him. I love hearing people when they're mic'd up and they're walking through their thought process of what they are
Amen.
thinking about. That's one of my
yeah,
favorite things about it
Amen.
is that you can actually like rather than just see people play golf, you can actually kind of get an idea. What are they thinking? What is, why
Yeah.
did they pick the club they picked? It's like I always found like that's, as far as on the PGA Tour, they would always tell you, this guy's got 160 yards, he's hitting a pitching wedge or whatever it is. And it's like, well, there's a reason why he's hitting a pitching wedge, and he might be hitting
Yep.
it, he might be flighting it low or high, or he might be into the wind or with the wind. And I do love hearing people go through that, just because then you actually learn something, or you actually kind of have an idea of why they did something. So I'm a huge fan of people's why anyways. And I
Yeah.
love hearing people's stories, whether it's professionally, why they do what they do, or why they did something like a shot, why they approached it a certain way. But that's always one of my, kind of geeked out moments is, when you hear somebody's why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to that point,
that's awesome. No, go ahead, Mike. But yes, I'm
I was
with
going
you,
to say
Jesse,
to
with that
that
one.
point, the PGA has been doing a decent job of the walk-alongs, so they tee off and then they're walk. I would love to see that alter a little bit and do it with a caddy as well as they're walking up and see, hey, what are you guys thinking here? What do what's your thought process as you're walking up to this ball? The wind, the lie, all these things, like little things that they're thinking of. The caddy's already thinking. As soon as he tees off, the caddy's already thinking about what's going to happen on that next shot. And it would be cool to bring them in every once in a while and say, hey, what are y'all thinking on this shot? I mean, you're not giving away any secrets for other players, so it's not like you're playing the course. So it'd be cool to get that information as well, along with the players on what they're thinking for these shots.
No doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah. The listening to a player that's elite and can pretty much do whatever they want with the golf ball, and that process, I'm with Jesse. That is flat out fascinating. I think that's where when you get like the foreplay guys or whoever, when they do matches against the pros, and
Yep.
one, there's a little shit talking, but two, they'll actually kind of walk it through a little bit, or I'll chip this nine. It's like, yeah, these guys don't just
Yeah.
have one thought on every shot. It's like there's so many factors that go in before they even select the club for the shot. So Jesse, I'm with you on that one. That one fascinates the hell out of me.
Yeah, I get a lot out of it. I enjoy it more than anything. It's
Mhm.
not like I can
Yeah.
repeat what they're doing, but I really do enjoy listening to it and just hearing their process.
Hmm.
Guys, I feel like we touched on a ton of stuff. I loved it. I mean, this has been a fun conversation. I want to thank you both for joining. Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Cheers,
I hope
guys.
everybody enjoyed listening to this. We're going to wrap this thing up and we'll catch you guys down the road.